And welcome to this special Friday night edition of Hannity. And tonight, a reckoning at the Democratic Party and the legacy media mob after years of lies, conspiracy theories, public corruption, and outright contempt for all of you, the American people, the elites. On the left, they have been totally exposed. Coming up, we're going to show you the latest insanity from the woke mob's war on Sydney Sweeney. Even the vice president, J.D. Vance, is weighing in. Also, Kamala Harris is forcing her way back into the spotlight. Her word salads are worse than ever. Take a look.
Poor Dougie.
You're blowing the lid off of Doug? What's going on?
For example, my birthday's in October. The election's in November. You see where I'm going?
Oh, and the giggling's back. I think we should take a moment as a public service and thank Donald Trump for winning this election. Not only did he stop both Kamala Harris and Hillary Clinton from ever becoming president, but thanks to President Trump's sanity is now returning to our nation's capital. Now, think about what we all endured over the last decade. For starters, almost every Democrat, every bureaucrat, every so-called journalist pushing, peddling lies, conspiracy theories as fact. In reality, Trump-Russia collusion. Russia never happened. According to a recently declassified material from the Director of National Intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard, there was no evidence that Russia even wanted Trump to win in 2016. None. That was the original assessment 6 weeks after the election. It was one big hoax. Wow. Bought and paid for by Hillary Clinton and the DNC. That's what I kept referring to over and over and over again as the Hillary Clinton bought and paid for dirty Russian disinformation dossier. Take a look at your screen. And based on the newly declassified annex from the Durham probe, it was even approved by Hillary Clinton herself and then implemented with the help of then President Barack Hussein Obama, the CIA, the FBI. There is now a massive trove of hard evidence that, yep, Hillary Clinton, powerful federal bureaucrats, and maybe even Obama himself worked in coordination. They worked together to push Russian disinformation from the Clinton campaign. Why? First, to delegitimize Donald Trump's 2016 win, but first to prevent him from winning, but then to hurt his presidency. And of course, the people mentioned in those newly declassified emails, they are denying any and all wrongdoing. And so is the Soros-linked Open Society. But in 2020, Hillary Clinton couldn't help but brag that the Russia hoax tainted Trump's 2016 win, while also claiming, oh, I have nothing at all. I did not have a single thing to do with that hoax, not one little thing, not one little bit. Take a look.
It is a sign of such desperation by the Republicans, and it also is a reminder that Donald Trump knows that the Russians helped him win in 2016. And that is almost the biggest reason he wants to, go back to it time and time again, because he can't come to grips with the fact that there will always be an air of illegitimacy around the 2016 campaign. And he also is always trying to change the subject, trying to somehow cast aspersions on anyone. I happen to be one of his favorite subjects for aspersion casting. But mostly it's just pathetic.
Now, in reality, both the Clinton campaign and the DNC, they were forced to pay a large fine for violating campaign laws after attempting to hide their funding of the dirty Russian disinformation dossier. So why would Clinton try to obscure payments for the dossier? The answer is obvious. This wasn't just some kind of political ad campaign. No, a coordinated effort across the federal government and, of course, with their complicit, compliant friends in the legacy media mob to paint Donald Trump as a Russian plant, which he never was, despite any real evidence, just a debunked, lying dossier. And after the election, when Donald Trump won in spite of all of this, then it evolved into an effort to sabotage his presidency. And he had to deal with all of these lies, all of these conspiracy theories for pretty much his entire first term. This dirty Russian disinformation dossier was even used as, quote, evidence to obtain not one but four FISA court warrants to secretly, well, to ruin Carter Page's life and then backdoor spy on the Trump campaign, his transition team, and, of course, his presidency. And we'll have more on that in a moment. But naturally, the New York Times, remember, they got a Pulitzer Prize for getting almost everything wrong. Well, they're busy trying to cast all doubt on all the new evidence coming from Tulsi Gabbard, coming from John Ratcliffe, coming from the Durham Annex. In fact, they're now going back to the well one more time, and they're calling it Russian disinformation yet again. An article out today, quote, Clinton plan emails were likely made by Russian spies, declassified report shows. Okay, I've got this article right here in front of me. Only problem is the declassified report did not show that. Nowhere in the annex, nowhere does it state the declassified emails were likely made by Russian spies. Instead, the annex revealed that, quote, Durham consulted the FBI, which assessed that the information was likely authentic, but they couldn't corroborate exact copies of the Bernardo emails with Open Society Foundations. That CIA also determined, by the way, the intel was not the product of Russian fabrications. These are career senior intel officials, not the heavy brass that had a political agenda. And at this point, is anyone surprised? The New York Times, the same piece of garbage newspaper that won a Pulitzer Prize for reporting the Russia hoax and peddling these lies, not once, not twice, but over and over again, peddled it day in and day out. The same New York Times, you know, that won a Pulitzer Prize for their effusive praise back in the day of Joseph Stalin and the Soviet Union. They don't care about the truth. For them, it's all about the agenda and power, and that agenda always lines up perfectly with the Democratic Party. Now, in 2016, it appears that almost every powerful entity was operating as one, all against Donald Trump. It was Clinton, Obama, Brennan, CIA, FBI, Mr. Higher Honor himself, James Comey, who couldn't seem to explain why he hid the true nature of the dossier from President Trump, you might recall.
Did you tell him that the Steele dossier had been financed by his political opponents?
No. I didn't even think I used the term Steele dossier. I just talked about additional material.
But did he have a right to know that?
That had been financed by his political opponents? I don't know the answer to that. It wasn't necessary for my goal, which was to alert him that we had this information.
Mr. Higher Honor. Everyone seemed to be on the same page, pushing the Russia hoax for years. Look at this new report from justthenews.com. Even then Vice President Joe Biden, quote, publicly linked Donald Trump to Vladimir Putin right around the same time that Hillary Clinton reportedly signed off on the Russia hoax. And again, none of it was true. Where's the apologies? Where are the retractions? Does anyone on the left or in the government or in the legacy media mob, did they regret anything? You know, the closest we got to an apology when Senator Lindsey Graham asked the people that actually used that Hillary Clinton bought and paid for Russian disinformation dirty dossier as the basis, bulk of information for 4 FISA warrants, if, knowing what they know now, would they do it again? These answers are priceless. Take a look.
If you knew then what you know now, would you have signed the warrant application in June of 2017 against Carter Page?
No, sir.
Okay. If you knew then what you know now, would you have signed the warrant application?
No, I would not.
Well, I believe you didn't know that what you signed was wrong. The question is, if you had known, you wouldn't have signed it. Is that correct?
No, if I had known that it contained incorrect information, I certainly wouldn't have signed it.
Knowing then what you know now about all the things that we've come to find, would you have still signed the warrant application against Carter Page in October, January, and April?
No, I would want a much more complete understanding of what we were.
Thank you very much.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.